my stream is working. Okay, says the video is private. Give me 1 second while I figure out what's going on there.
No problem. I'm just catching up anyways, so I don't have anything prepared.
That's okay, me neither. I never go into a debate prepared. I don't try to like read up on stuff or anything. I pretty much just like go by the seat of my boot, you know, so that way I don't like blindside someone with like a bunch of stuff. But coincidentally though, as you like debate more and more with people, it starts to become you start to like know talking points. So I try not to interrupt people, but like sometimes it's hard because like they'll say like something that's like really common, or it'll be like false, or you know, or it'll have like some basic epistemic problems in it. So
yes.
we're gonna put you to the test.
Good. Well, when I used to do this in college, they'd make us, the coach would always make us take both sides. You know, start arguing one side, then go back, regroup, take the other side. So I haven't had a good debate in a while. I used to love that in college.
Oh, cool. All right. Let's see. Your channel. Come on. Where the heck is it? Is this thing? YouTube
H2 Joe.
I'm expecting this to like work, but it's not. Hold on. This is the first time that I'm like doing this through YouTube versus. Okay, that's set to private, so I'm going to set it to public. Publish. There we go. Okay, so this should now load. Hold on. Live now. Okay. Okay, that's set to private. There we go. Okay, yeah, I can hear it. And I'm going to hit play on that one. That's live. Let's see if the chat works. Hold on. If somebody could try to use this chat and tell me if it works or not. There you go. Okay. All right. So, okay. So you are an anti-vaxxer, right? Like you don't believe in like vaccines, or what exactly is your like position?
I don't believe that children should be put at risk of death and or injury forcibly through vaccines. In other words, the #1 vaccine doctor in the nation is out of Washington. I don't know his name. I'm trying to look it up quick. But he provides more vaccines than any other doctor in the nation. And he says some people just have allergies to certain things. Like if you were allergic to peanuts, there should not be a law forcing you to get an injection for peanuts. We know that it's going to have a bad reaction with you. So even though he's the #1 doctor that prescribes the most vaccines, he's also the most sought out because he also rejects the most vaccines. So he's very adamant about states not having vaccine laws for that reason. He said, you know, he's like, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I give more vaccines than any other doctor in the nation. I just don't think that you should give it to somebody when you know it's going to kill them ahead of time.
Do you think that there are doctors out there that are like knowingly giving vaccines and like you know, killing like kids? Like,
oh, there's no doubt about it. And it's not the doctors, it's the lawmakers. There are laws being passed in states that literally force in the past, there always used to be medical and religion excuses. So if you actually were found to actually have a bad allergic reaction or something to mercury, they would not give you the shots with the adjunct mercury in it. But now some states are actually forcibly passing laws saying that there are no exceptions, and children are being literally sent to their death.
Okay, so you're saying that like people are just like dying in droves because of vaccines?
Not in droves, but you can actually, it's a quantitative thing. This is not a theory.
Yeah. So like how many? Like what are we talking here? What's the number?
Well,
do you have numbers on this?
Are you familiar with the vaccine court?
No, go ahead. Tell me about it.
Okay. The vaccine court is, well, back in, I don't know the exact year that it was formed, but there was a very, you know, and you know this with any industry, there's always powerful lobbyists. I mean, there's a reason why Roundup was just renewed again for being legal this year, even though there's all lawsuits going on.
Okay.
So the vaccine industry back in, I believe it was the 70s or 80s, got some legislatures to pass a law saying that vaccine companies cannot be sued directly. Now, the argument behind it was that if an emergency happens, kind of like this coronavirus, if a pandemic happens and we have to roll out a virus quickly, we don't have the 3-4 years to test this thing the way that we do a normal pharmaceutical drug. So we can't be held responsible. Now, and that was the argument that was made, and the law was passed. So we have in the United States, we have what's known as a vaccine court. And the vaccine court basically says that the companies themselves are not legally held responsible. So the US taxpayer has to pay any cases that are lost. So now this particular court is well known for setting the bar impossibly high, meaning that let's say that you take your child in and it dies from a vaccine injection. They will basically say to your wife, prove that you've never smoked in the last 20 years, prove that you've never been in a room with lead-based paint, just this impossibly high bar. Yet even with that impossibly high bar, let me type it in on Google right now and search vaccine court and see where we're at. I think the last was that we were at 16,000 cases with $4.6 billion paid out in losses. That's how many. So when you're arguing against that, this doesn't kill children. No. That's the best lawyers, the best scientists, and the best doctors in the nation have already argued this in court and proven it.
So there's no, I mean, I guess like there's no argument that there's like instances of like, I guess like malpractice, or there could be instances of people who like react to this in a very negative way. But then the question is like, what exactly is the value of the vaccine to begin with? And like, if we can look at society as like with vaccines as opposed to vaccines, I think you have a very, very different situation there. For example, like, the existence of like when we have created penicillin, right? There were thousands and thousands of people being killed, and so now we got it down to where like now that we have these vaccines that are available, now that it's like down to like, okay, now there's still children being killed, but it's now down into like, not quadruple digits, or like quintuple digits or sextuple digits. Now we're talking about like among like a group of like 300 million people, let's say, 400 are dying because of like a vaccine, a person reacted badly to the vaccine, but we're not quantifying the amount of people that it effectively saved. So like the question is like, do you think that like vaccines are wrong based on this situation, or?
Well, again, and that's why, and perhaps we should, clarify the debate a little bit ahead of time, because I respect you, your knowledge, and your opinion so much. Because I'm not against vaccines per se, if they are actually shown to be healthy for that individual's blood work. Now, the name of it actually is the United States Court of Federal Claims Vaccine Claims Office of Special Magistrate. But now, what you're referring to on the other side, though, there are studies done with, are you familiar with all-causal mortality?
No.
All-causal mortality means that this child died of something. So whether it be measles, whether it be the flu, whether it be chicken pox, whether it be a broken neck, it means all-causal mortality means that they died of any cause. So there are actually studies that show children without vaccines have a lower all-causal mortality rate than children with vaccines, meaning that you're less likely to die as a child if you do not have a vaccine.
Did you hear about the attempt on the king's life?
Wait, okay, hold on. So like, I haven't heard any study that says like a person with a vaccine opposed to like without a vaccine, the person with the vaccine has a much higher rate of mortality. Like that just doesn't. That's not like akin to like peer-reviewed studies. So like, what are you talking about?
I'm pulling it up right now. As I said earlier, this particular one is from the World Health Organization.
Okay.
And
so go ahead and pull it up. You can post a link right there in general. I'll even pull it up on the stream so other people can see it.
Do you want to go ahead and make your argument while I'm looking this up? I can tell you right where I am, but I'm not getting a link right now.
Well, my arguments are often based on epistemic view. So like the idea is like you know what that is? Like it's okay if you don't. I'm not gonna get you like on a gotcha or whatever.
No. Please explain that, because that's a great use of the word, but one that I'm not as familiar with.
Okay, so like epistemology is basically like the study of knowledge. Like how is it that people like know things? So some of the common things that you can do, like whenever somebody like has like a, an opinion that is like outside of like what like the general populace thinks, you generally will like try to question them like what is exactly their logical pattern and how they arise to that like situation. It's like how exactly is it that they like determine something as being true? So like if you're talking about like a situation where where like someone says like vaccines cause autism or like vaccines like are harmful to society when like there's lots and lots of like peer-reviewed research and like it's fully like backed up and understood, and then there's even governmental research that like determines like a quantifiable good as in like more people surviving as a result of these vaccines, which then creates more choice in people's lives, and therefore if it makes more choice in people's lives it improves society at large. So like epistemically, like where I derive like my belief as it being true, it just comes straight from active studies that are like fully understood and they're like verified within the scientific community, and that's just what other people believe, and people who are like much more like intelligent than I am when it comes to like a scientific venture. Like I don't understand genetics. I don't understand, like the biology of a human. I don't understand any of that stuff. But what I can do is at least look at like a, look at a study that is peer reviewed. They can verify it. They can confirm it. They can do a very large statistical analysis on whether or not it's true. And based on all that, then you can pretty much come up with like deferring to the experts in that situation, because like even though you don't technically understand it, you yourself didn't do the study, you still like defer to like an expert. So the chance of you being right as opposed to like another person who like bases their idea off of like gut feeling or off of a study that is not peer reviewed, there's a very good chance that they're that they're wrong.
Mm-hmm. Sometimes, and that's now you have a much more extensive vocabulary than I do, and I'm very impressed with it. I do spend a lot of time because of my brain tumor researching peer-reviewed blind studies on biohacking. So I've got biohacking down pretty good. I've got medical reports, peer-reviewed studies down pretty good. An interesting one that came up just the other day, not to sidetrack, but just to basically say that those can, you've heard quite often where one article will say one thing, say it was done by a peer-reviewed study, and another article will be another one. I think the most famous would be the cigarette studies back in the 60s and 70s.
Yeah.
But there was one just recently, one of the healthiest foods that you can have, I mean hands down, is an egg. Yet there was a peer-reviewed study that came out showing that eggs were not that healthy. And at first I was like, what the heck? And then one of the scientists that I really respect a lot did a review on that particular study, and it made so much more sense because he pointed out right from the bat, he's like, well, first thing I did is I went to the bottom and I saw who the sponsors were. This was sponsored by a pharmaceutical company. Pharmaceutical companies are notorious for giving bad information in hopes that they make people sick, that they can then sell more pharmaceuticals. And he goes, normally I would just leave it right at that. But then he actually did a deeper dive and went right down each particular thing. He pointed out in that particular study that it was a mail-in study.
Okay, can you post that
That,
study, because I'm genuinely curious of like an actual peer-reviewed study that says that it's like anti-vaccines. Like I would be really impressed if you can find something like that.
well, first of all, the one thing that is definitely anti-vaccines, and I'll send it over to you, is the U.S. Vaccine Court. That shows, I mean, to lose a case or to have the government lose a case in the U.S. Vaccine Court means that it was proven beyond any reasonable doubt that that child was killed and or maimed by a vaccine. And there are thousands of cases like that for billions of dollars. So that means right there that
Okay, I mean, obviously we're a country of 300 million or 350 or what is it, 340 million people, right?
370.
Yeah. Okay. What? Anyway, so like we're a really 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 big country, right? So like the
Correct.
chances like when you see like 1,000 or 5,000 like cases, right? This is a really really tiny number. This is not like anywhere close to like, I mean like you can say okay there is certain amounts of harm, but my question is that okay, we can verify that there is this amount of harm, that it's there. There's like malpractice suits like that. But the question is, does this actually still result in a better society for people? As in, like, we're like have a society where, you know, we're getting rid of like really terrible diseases, and, you know, at the risk of some people getting sick from it or dying from it. So like, and the number is so astronomically small in comparison to the amount of suffering that we are avoiding. It's like, you know, I mean, I don't want to take a utilitarian approach, but like this does improve people's lives. So what do you mean? So like you could pull up
Well,
that study, right, where it's got like, it says a
no,
court.
I can pull up. I can send you over the the U.S. Vaccine
Please
court,
do.
right?
I would love.
Yeah,
Yeah, please do. I would be
yeah. But
really
then
interested.
but as far as the actual studies, yeah, I have it pulled up here. I will send that over too. Let me get back. I have too many tabs open. You are back here. That's your page. Okay. That is where, not even sure. Close that one. US. Okay, here's the court. So we're here, and do I just under message paste it?
Um, yeah, you can, yeah, right there.
Coors Light virus is much more serious.
Oh, I think someone's just joking around. You're gonna find a lot. There's a lot of that. Okay, so just don't take literally anything serious. You will have people
I
that will just spew the N word, okay, over and over, and try to get a reaction out of you. So like, just, yeah, just you safely ignore it.
if I ever get the coronavirus, I would definitely hope that I have a girl in my life that would, get the Lyme disease for me.
Hmm.
All right, so that is the court.
Okay, so hold on 1 second while I pull this up. Okay. Okay, see if I can add it to the stream here. Hang tight, hang tight, hang tight. Screen capture. Do smart selection. We're just going to select this portion here. All right, so what is this saying here? Hang tight while I
No problem.
blow it up a little bit. Okay, so this is saying like vaccine claims of the special masters, the National Vaccine Injury Compensation Program, Part 2 of the National Childhood Vaccine Injury Act, saying Vaccine Act became effective in 1988, establishes vaccine program, has a no-fault compensation program whereby petitions of monetary compensation may be brought on behalf of persons' eligibility that is resulting in the injury or death of children. Okay, so basically this is saying that people who give vaccines, they're not necessarily liable for like the death of a child.
Yes, that's the law that I said was passed back in the 80s.
Okay, so like how does this refute what I have been saying?
It shows that vaccines definitely kill children.
Okay, so in this situation,
And that,
we both, like I very quickly admitted that
Yeah.
there are instances like fringe cases where
Right.
people do get harmed. Correct.
That's correct. And those people should not, under any situation, be forced to kill their children, is what I'm saying.
Okay, so like you're basically against. Okay, you are not against vaccines then. That sounds to
No,
me you're.
No, and that's that's people that are called anti-vaxxers. In fact, I think that Senator
Okay.
Kennedy said it best. Senator Kennedy, and this, I love this line from him. He said, "When I was taking mercury out of fish, everybody called me a children to the heroes. They had me up on their shoulders, and I was a hero for the laws I was passing taking mercury out of fish. The minute that I wanted to take mercury out of vaccines, they called me an anti-vaxxer." He goes, "How can somebody that actually has vaccinated all his children, is pro-vaccine, just because he wants to take mercury out of vaccines, be called an anti-vaxxer?" Mercury is a neurogenerative, or a neurogenerative, what is it called? Where it destroys neurons. It destroys brain cells. Bottom
yeah,
line,
yeah.
there is no mercury destroys brain cells.
Yeah. I think
So
like there was only like one vaccine that was like found to have that. Like I could be
yeah,
wrong on this, but the
measles,
point that
that's the big one. That's the measles one.
okay, well like there's like certain instances where like again like when it's like a single like location, okay, but it's not like the norm, okay.
It's all mercury is always a neurotoxin. That's the word I was
Yeah,
looking for.
I understand that, but I'm saying not all vaccines have mercury in them. In fact, I would say almost all of them don't have mercury in them.
Right, except for the main one that, in fact, I'd say the only, and that's like I was saying with Kennedy. I am not an anti-vaxxer. In fact, there is no such thing as an anti-vaxxer. That's a media hype thing. That's
Okay.
one of those. Yeah, that's one of those things that are made up to make one group sound good or bad. There are people that are against mercury being put in vaccines.
Okay, then
there are people
let's take it one step further then. Okay, so we've already established that we're like you're not completely anti-vax. Like you're pro-vax, but you don't like the idea of like forcing people to like vaccinations, right?
Especially if they know it's going to kill their child. That's
okay. I'm going to play devil's advocate for you because I somewhat agree with you, but then I've also had like contended with my own ideas. Okay.
Okay.
So generally speaking, okay, when you're talking about like the autonomy of a human body, what you effectively want to do, in order to like have as much like freedom as possible is that you do want to like have as much freedom as possible, with the exception of trying to like stop behaviors that revoke people's freedom. Okay, so like a good example of this would be, like the old, freedom of speech debate where it's like you can't yell fire in a, in a movie theater because this endangers people's lives. This revokes the autonomy of those people, right?
Right.
So like
correct.
in the instance of, let's say when we're talking about like vaccines, right, where you have people who, if they are vaccinated, then the chances of the population becoming, sick is less and less over time. And then even better is that you can actually eradicate illnesses that would otherwise effectively become immune from vaccines. Like we've seen studies where a bacteria can become viruses and bacteria can become completely immune to a substance or to a vaccine given enough time. So like I think like there was it was like this amazing Harvard paper, I think, and it has a video accompanying it where it like shows like a petri dish of like a specific bacteria and then like an antibacterial like being applied within the petri dish, and the petri dish was like big. It was like maybe like 2 foot wide, and what they had was on the edges of the petri dish was 0% of the antibacterial that was used, and then I believe like and then the next like level, like it went in levels, like going closer and closer to the middle, where it was like okay, basically putting the antibacterial on the petri dish at different levels. And I believe like it started at like 1 times, and then it was 2 times, and then 10 times, and then 100 times, and then 1,000 times. And so they basically like bred the bacteria, which was able to become resistant to the that antibacterial, which then resulted in this bacteria that had then very, very quickly evolved to be able to handle that, an ecosystem that had 1,000 times over of the antibacterial. So given that we know that like viruses and bacteria both react in this way, don't you think that it's a logical conclusion that you should vaccinate children and you should vaccinate people in general, a population of people, so that way people's autonomy does not get revoked?
I think that vaccines make sense if you're not forcing them on somebody that you know is going to kill them.
Okay, I mean, like understand, we're already aware of like instances of people who are like they're what they're called like immunodeficient. It's people who they cannot have these vaccines because if they do, they will die. There are people who are on chemo, they can't have vaccines. People who are on chemo cannot have vaccines. They will literally die. Because they're it is people who have like a weakened immune system or people who are allergic. These are people that doctors already are aware of for the most part. Like you have to understand, each doctor has gone to medical school. It's they understand the human body a lot more than you and I. So like, is it possible that a doctor makes a mistake and then forces a child to have like a vaccine? Yes. Absolutely. But like you have to understand, like when like policies are being made and they're being presented to like a lawmaker, you have to understand that like a lot of doctors had like a lot of experts would have play into what exactly is written into the policy. And don't you think it's logical to assume that the policy itself would be made to, exclude these types of people?
No, you would hope that it would, but there are laws being proposed that have actually been passed that force all children. In other words, they
All right,
revoke.
show me that.
The law.
Show me that.
The law.
I
Yeah,
call,
I'll show you.
I'm raising my BS red flag is
Yep.
raising wide in the air because that would be insane to me. There's no way. I was hoping you had had this thing bookmarked somewhere.
No, that's why I said I did not have most of this stuff ready before we started.
Oh, that's okay. Not a big deal. It's fine.
If you don't mind changing the subject slightly while I look.
Yeah, we can answer some questions. Does anybody have any
No.
questions or any? Or no? Go ahead. I'll let you
Well,
go.
if anybody has a question, that's fine.
Yeah, I don't know if anybody has any questions.
I was gonna throw in the religious exemption part. And see if you had
Okay, so like in the situation of a religious situation, right? So like let's say for example, religiously, right? There was they have a right to eat the heart of a baby for immortality, right? Like this is like would be like an extreme example, right? So we would never like allow this sort of thing regardless of whether or not it is a religion. So like I can quantify that you revoke the autonomy of individuals provided that it enhances it creates more autonomy than it destroys. Okay, so like you can reasonably come to a conclusion that you want to have like a mandate of vaccinations, with the exception of course of people who are immunodeficient, but that you do have like a mandation of vaccines, so that way that there's like a what is it called? I think it's called like crowd immunity or whatever it is. Basically, like it's like when 95% of people are vaccinated, there's no way for the disease to actually like transmit amongst population, including people who are not like in the group of people who are vaccinated.
Well, that's the whole purpose of a vaccine. If somebody's vaccinated, they can't get it anyways.
Yeah, correct. But then like you have people who are immunodeficient, right? So like people who can't get the vaccine, okay? So we have to like exclude these people from like the level, like from these required vaccines. So that means we need to have as many people vaccinated to protect these other people, right? So like, let's say we got a bunch of religious people that say, well, we believe that we shouldn't have to take the vaccine because that's literally what it says in our book, right? But if you can quantify that this actually revokes the autonomy of other people to like save like this minority of people, don't you think it makes sense to like revoke that autonomy in that situation?
No, definitely not, because they are purposely putting their child up for risk. That's their option. That's their child. Now,
Okay,
keep in
so
mind,
like, okay,
yeah, the religious argument is usually over the aborted fetuses that are used.
okay,
That's usually the religious argument. Now, that religious argument, in my opinion, as a biohacker, should really be a biological argument, because we don't know what type of damage is being. When things come down to your body and biohacking, everything comes down to your DNA
how
and
much
your
damage do you
mitochondria.
think is happening for real? Like,
No, that's
like
what
if
I
you had
just
to
said.
give me like a percentage,
Again, we don't know
we don't
what type
know.
of mutations injecting DNA from another damaged
I mean,
body
we've been
will do.
vaccinating people for a very long time. You're telling me that there's no study that determines like how many people are like harmed as opposed to
No,
how
I'm,
many
I'm
people are like
definitely
okay?
not telling you that. I'm telling you I've never researched that.
Oh, okay. So wait, I mean, you understand like you're making a claim without any backing.
What claim did I make? That
You
we don't know? Yes, that's true.
what I was saying like you were making a claim on
Uh-huh.
you were making a claim on uh that there's like a good amount of like there's enough harm to justify the autonomy or keeping the autonomy of people so that way like these other people could possibly die as a result.
Keep watch.
Like you were saying that the harm is enough to like to say that we need to do this, because you're saying
No.
like okay, it's their children, they have a right to like do what they want with their children, and like I agree with you
Yes,
in
yes,
in
definitely.
most situations that like I use like the what's called I call the McDonald's argument, where basically it's like it's a parent's like right to take their child to McDonald's every day. Of course, it's unhealthy for them, but I could imagine a situation where like if the government gets involved in this situation, like let's say they say, oh, you can't take your child to McDonald's every day, you have to take your child to Whole Foods like a certain amount of times a day. So like think about like this type of society where it's like you have the government who's controlling a bunch of people, and like this is effectively revoking people's autonomy just so that child can be a little bit healthier, right? So like in this situation, it doesn't make sense. You don't want this to happen, because what you're doing is you are sacrificing some autonomy, to hopefully, raise up the health of the child. But in this situation, it doesn't work out because you have less autonomy later on. You have less choices that people can effectively make, and therefore it makes society worse. Like any economist will tell you, trade is good, and that you want to like increase the amount of trade, and anything that's going to increase the amount of trade, as in like more people surviving, for example, they're going to pretty much be in favor of that because that does make society better overall. So in the situation of like vaccines, you're saying that the harm is enough to where there should not be any kind of mandate, but there's a good amount of like knowledge and study where it would help people who are effectively immunodeficient, namely people who are, who are like cancer treatments, people who are, they're born with an immunodeficiency where they can't take these vaccines. When you obtain the autonomy, or you like preserve the autonomy of like religious people, and you preserve the autonomy of people who don't want to give their children vaccine based off of like a their own opinion. It could come from like a Breitbart article, for example. They come to that conclusion, and so you preserve that autonomy, but then you destroy the autonomy of these other people where it's like they matter just as much as those other people. So like, which one do you pick? And I would say like the numbers of people who actually suffer as a result of like vaccines being forced onto people, it's far less than the other way around. So I'm gonna like immediately go for the first thing.
And I would disagree. I believe in complete autonomy, that everybody has a freedom of a choice for their own children, as long as it does not infringe on the right of other children.
I agree with you. I agree with you
No.
there. I'm so on your side there. It's like
Right.
crazy. The part
Right.
that I disagree with is where it is only revoked if you decrease the autonomy of more people as a result of your rights being preserved.
The only other people who could see that's, first of all, you're making it 2 years ago. In fact, I can type it in. I think ABC, NBC, everybody said it was the worst measles outbreak that we've had in years. So I will just type in worst
Correct.
measles.
Yeah, so like,
And do you know how many people died in the worst measles outbreak that we've had?
what? How many?
0. Because people don't die from it. That's why. I mean, they
Okay.
can in extremely rare situations where they have a vitamin E deficiency.
Okay.
So if somebody gets the measles, give them some vitamin E. Why risk injecting mercury into them? Does that
Okay.
make any sense at all?
Okay.
You're gonna
Okay.
put a neurotoxin in your
Hold on.
child because they have a vitamin E deficiency.
Okay, hold on. So like right here, I'm looking at like the measles cases in like 2019. It
Right.
looks to be that 1,282 individual cases of measles were confirmed in 31 states. Of these cases, 128 were hospitalized and 61 reported of having complications. We actually almost, if I'm not mistaken, I believe like we almost eradicated measles because like everybody had been vaccinating their children. It's only until recently like measles is making a comeback because like there's ideas that you should not vaccinate your children or that you should keep your autonomy. But like you understand that preserving this sort of thing, right? You keep the autonomy of these people, but you effectively destroy the autonomy of thousands because of this thought process.
What are you destroying for thousands? That's what I'm saying. I'm trying to make a point that people don't die from this. There are no thousands.
Okay, I mean, all right. Do you think that like people being hospitalized? Do you believe like let's say if I beat you up, right?
Yeah.
And you know, and you're now in the hospital for like 2 months. Okay.
Okay, it's an
You
extreme,
didn't die. You're just in the hospital for a while, right?
Right.
And do you believe that I revoked your autonomy?
If you beat me up?
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't believe that you have the right to beat me up.
Correct. So like I revoked your autonomy, right? So like I deserve to have a right to hit things as I please because I own my body. I have a right to hit people. Obviously, that doesn't make any sense because what you're doing is you're revoking the autonomy of other people, and so therefore you have to revoke that right. So in this situation, when you're talking about people who they harm other people as a result of their decisions.
No. First off, you have the right to get a vaccine. The vaccine means that you do not get hit by me.
Okay,
if you get hit,
but then that revokes what I just.
If you get hit, it was your choice to get hit.
Okay, so that then revokes, then refutes the argument, which is a very well-founded argument, that viruses, they become immune to these vaccines. You have to make stronger and stronger vaccines in order to resist it. So if you have a movement that promotes the not use of vaccines to save the child, or presumably save the child, the chances of them actually getting hurt by this is super small.
Right.
In fact, you have I think there's probably statistics that will prove that a child will die in a car accident much more over a vaccine. So
very possible.
So I'm just saying that by revoking the autonomy in this situation.
What about all the neurological damage?
What neurological damage?
There is definitely neurological damage, and
like
that
what?
I do not have the medical report pulled up for, but that I do have medical report for.
You didn't find that other report that I was?
Yeah. That's I was just letting you every time I.
That's all right. It's fine. We'll go to the next thing.
No, I'll pull it here. I'll send it over right now.
All right, go ahead. Okay, so what is the mental illness that you're talking about? Are you talking about autism?
No, I'm talking about mental illness in general from the adjunct that has mercury in it. In a study,
Okay, I mean, there's no, yeah, I mean, like nobody is going to refute that, like mercury can cause like mental deficiency. Like
okay,
that's
but
100% proven. Okay,
right,
so
correct.
like they
So that,
realized that there was mercury in these types of in certain types of vaccines, and then after they realized that happened, they were like, oh crap, then they removed it. Okay, so what's the issue?
Watch. I won't be long.
they didn't remove it. That's the issue. It's
They
still
didn't
in
remove
there.
it?
No,
What do you mean they
they
didn't
should.
remove it? Come on, man.
Isn't that crazy?
Okay, then there must be a reason why it's in there.
They say that their argument is now there's two that the conspiracy theorists believe that because considering it causes neurological issues like ADD, autism, all those
No,
other
okay,
things.
no. That can't be true.
That it's still in there.
No. That it causes ADD and autism. It doesn't.
Okay, it causes neurological damage. The conspiracy theorists say that it's purposely in there because pharmaceuticals make a fortune off those medicines.
Oh my God.
Now
No,
that's the
ridiculous.
conspiracy theorist.
That's totally ridiculous.
I don't know what the argument is. That's the non-conspiracy theorist. So I can't answer that one.
Okay, so like, is that your argument? Like,
No. My argument is that mercury should not be in an adjunct.
okay, let's look this up.
Especially for something. See, my parents had the measles. I think Elvis
Mercury
Presley had the measles.
still in.
Yeah.
Hold on, is mercury still in vaccines? Let's look it up. We're looking it up. Hold on. I'm gonna add a source here. Give me 1 second.
It's the MMR vaccine specifically.
The MMR vaccine. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Give me 1 second while I just make it so other people can see it. There we go. Okay, so let's see here. The CDC.gov, Thermosol. Okay. Contains ethyl mercury. Mercury is a naturally occurring element found in Earth's crust. Okay, all right. Two types of mercury which people may be exposed. Methyl mercury and ethyl mercury are very different. Methyl mercury is a type of mercury found in certain kinds of fish. At high exposure, levels of methyl mercury can be toxic to people. In the United States, federal guidelines keep as much methyl mercury as possible out of the environment and food, but over a lifetime, everybody is exposed to some methyl mercury. Thimerosal contains ethyl mercury, which is cleared out from the human body more quickly than methyl mercury and is therefore less likely to cause harm. Okay, next thing. Thimerosal prevents the growth of bacteria in vaccines. Thimerosal is added to vials of vaccines that contain more than one dose, multi-dose vials, to prevent the growth of germs like bacteria and fungi. Introduction of bacteria and fungi that has the potential to occur when a syringe needle enters a vial as a vaccine is being prepared for administration. Contamination by germs in a vaccine could cause severe local reactions, serious illness, or death. In some vaccines, preservatives, including thimerosal, are added during the manufacturing process to prevent germ growth. Okay, so now that we have just read the actual, like, what is the real thing, because that's straight from the CDC.gov. That's the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, where they do hundreds and hundreds of thousands of studies. So, like, that is the result of that, okay? So, like, I didn't even know that there was a difference, that there was different types of mercury. Did you?
Yes.
Okay, so what's the problem?
The problem is that the scientific studies that I have seen, and I'm looking for right now quickly, show quite clearly that Thermocell, the mercury in Thermocell, has been shown to cause neurological damage in rat studies.
Okay, all right. Then I'm very curious because those same types of studies, like what was done with like aspartame, I think it was, like with rat studies, where they put in a huge amount It was like at the amount where I believe like a human couldn't actually physically drink that much soda. Like it was like twice the like it would have required like the I think like the direct equivalent was like the human would have
Right.
to drink twice their
And
body
there,
weight in soda
and
in
there,
order
yes.
to like get like a cancerous tumor as a result. So it's like these things were like pretty much like completely invalidated like after some peer review. They realized that there was some serious problems. So I'm guessing like is it do you think it's possible that your study may have that as and I would really love it if you
I doubt it very, very much.
Okay, I would love it if you posted it.
Yeah.
Please post it.
Quite honestly, if you look at the number of cases with neurological damage in children. Now, granted, there are other environmental because of my brain tumor, I've learned a lot about EMFs and the damage that they cause to DNA. And did you know that a tablet, just a regular tablet with Wi-Fi is supposed to be held at least
Okay. I'm gonna stop you right there. I'm gonna stop
So
you
I'm
right
just
there
saying-
because that's
I'm
a
just saying
whole
there-
nother argument that
Yeah,
like
there-
I can get into with you, and
Right.
I know a great deal about it. Like I could talk to you about this for hours, but like the whole intent of this whole debate was that we were gonna talk about vaccines specifically. So
Right,
I do
right,
want to
right.
stay on topic
All right, so
because
yeah, so
honestly
what
I
I'm-
could talk your
what
ear off on that.
Right. So which side would you take out of curiosity?
Huh? Oh,
Which side?
I understand like how like a heavy electromagnetic frequency works. I understand that like that there have been people who say that they're like anti on electromagnetic frequency, but it turns out like sunlight itself can actually create like a much more averse reaction to so like if something is like less harmful than sunlight itself, obviously I'm gonna
Let's definitely shelf that one for the next.
yeah because
I
I'm not gonna.
I have 1,800 peer-reviewed studies showing it definitely causes tumors.
Okay.
No doubt, it causes a tumor.
Okay, yep. Go ahead and let's go to the next.
So, but my point is that the neurological, just as far as and I understand correlational is not causational. That's why I was bringing up the EMFs, because there is other environmental issues that have been definitely 100% shown to cause tumors and neurological issues.
Mhm.
So, but the fact that the neurological issues happen more often in children with vaccines, I believe is, a good causational argument. I mean, I'm sorry, correlational argument.
Well, I mean,
I'm having to read articles and talk and listen at the same time, so.
yeah, I mean, I'm waiting for these studies. You said that there are.
Well, here, let's do this one first.
Okay.
Get back over here, where are you? You're under there. And do I just drop it in the same?
Yeah, in general. I'll go ahead and open it up and then we can watch it.
Hang on. I was copy
We'll read it.
something else. Yeah, my main point is that children that have
Okay, so like the existence of thimerosal or how do you say it? Thimerosal? Thimerosal. Thimerosal.
I've read it so many times, but in my own head, I've never, pronounced it quite that way.
Okay, so like I guess like the issue that I'm having with this contention is we can prove that thimerosal it gets like removed in the human body. Given that we know it can be removed
And
in the
we can prove that it causes neurological damage too.
Sure, with enough concentration of anything. In fact, I think if you feed somebody enough water, they can die from it. So like the question is, what is the quantity of which that's happening? So like we proved that with aspartame at like double the the dosage.
Right. One thing we know for sure is that different human cells have different reactions to different elements. So your question does not cover. In other words, if my family has a certain genetic predisposition to neurological damage, I would not want anything with thimerosal anywhere near a child of mine. And that would be my
So
choice.
like that's you're talking about people who have like immunodeficiency or people that
No, I'm not. I'm
Okay,
not.
you're
I'm saying that If I were to go in, I guarantee you, with the laws that are on the books now, if I were to go in and say, look, my aunt was a little off. I think she, we think that she had some sort of a neurodegenerative issue. So I don't want my kids to have a shot. That would not stand up in court. They would still force the child. They would still force the child. Look up California vaccine laws.
I mean, we can do DNA analysis, like if that's like the situation. Like it's not that it's you have to understand like usually this is not up to like the courts to make these decisions. Instead, it's up to the doctor to make the decisions.
For what purpose? We're talking specifically the MMR vaccine right now. We're talking specifically the MMR.
Okay.
The one that doesn't kill people unless they have a vitamin deficiency.
Oh, hold on. You posted it. There we go. You posted it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, so this is on steamit.com. Hold on while I'm going to pull up that window. It says vaccines kill children. Here's proof. Okay, so this says is from Steam Truth. Okay, in hashtag vaccines. Okay, so this says this graphs visually illustrate that vaccines kill children. Okay, so I'm going through these. So let's see here. Under 5 per 1,000 live births, mortality increase. Trend line. There's Sweden, Japan. Oh, sorry, it just loaded a bunch. Give me 1 second. Hold on. Let's see. Unvaccinated children equal lower death rates. Okay. So you're going to have to help me out there. So it says CDC link of vaccinated children under 5 years of age to more deaths than unvaccinated children. Vaccines are also linked to sudden infant death syndrome, various degenerative diseases, including diabetes, and also appears to cause general immune system impairment. Evidence also points to the practice of immunization as a principal factor in the massive increase of neurodegenerative conditions such as autism. Okay, so I need like the actual where he's getting this from. Okay, so the first one is like the mortality statistics. Let's see the why is this pulling up not that? World Health Organization statistics 2009 report. Okay, this is the World Health Organization report. Okay, so I pulled up the report, right? And then I don't see the graph that he's talking about. There is literally no graph at all on this. Okay, so he posted a graph, right? And then I mean, unless if he made this graph himself with the data, maybe we can do that. Let's see here. Sweden, 11. 11 of what? Hold on. Sweden, 11. It just says 11. There's nothing describing what 11 is.
And where are you right now?
I'm looking at and you can see it on the YouTube video, so like you can see it if you want to mute it yourself, so that way you don't hear me twice. But yeah, so I'm at the literal thing that you just linked, and the first thing was figure 25, where it says that countries and number of vaccine doses mandated under the age of 5 mortality rates for 2007. Okay, and so it shows the under 5 mortality rates per 1,000 live births, and then it's got like a number here, 3, 0 to 9. I'm not sure what is that number like pertaining to? Is that the, okay, so like, all right, question 1 that I'm having. Okay, usually you have like a line graph. The reason why you have a line graph is so you can like show like the amount of time that's being spent. Okay, but in this situation, it looks like that he is doing the line graph specifically where he is grabbing a number from each country. So like each country isn't like, it's not associated, so I'm not sure why he made this graph. It doesn't make any sense. What is that 11? What is the Sweden? Is it? Hold on. I'm pulling up Sweden.
I'm still on YouTube, just so you know. I'm not with you on the other thing.
Oh, I mean, if
where are you in YouTube?
Oh, here. Hold on. I'll give it to you right now. Control C, Control V. There you go, buddy. There you go. Okay, so I've got it pulled up, right? And so like you see this figure here, it may be a little bit of time before like you can see it because it's you know, it's not exactly oh shit, there's a monster. Hold on, give me a moment. Okay, all right, so do you see that graph?
Yes.
Okay, do you see what's wrong with this graph?
Not yet.
Okay, so like I can see like there's like Sweden 11, Japan 11, Finland 12, and then you got Norway 13, Switzerland 16, Australia
And what
27.
is that for? What is it saying?
I don't know. That's my question.
Okay.
So I can pull up the actual like where it shows the World Health Organization, which would be a lot better than steamit.com.
Right.
So like
And
we
that's
pull up
what
the
I was going to
mortality
do.
here, and like so like it looks like we got multiple numbers here. So hold on, let's see. This is for 2007, so we got 2007 here. But then we got male and female. Okay, so here's okay, both sexes, male and female. So we've got Sweden, right? Sweden, which is 11. Where's Sweden? Where's our fabled 11? Sweden.
Can you do a character search?
Hold on, I'm looking. LMSS. Nope, gotta go down another one. Sweden. And then we've got both sexes, that's at 81. Okay, this one's Sweden, it says 11. Where is he getting 11? Where's 11? I'm doing what I can here. You understand? Like I'm trying to. So like here's what I have a problem with. Okay,
Yeah.
a lot of situations, when people like try to like figure out like where it is that they figure like where they get their facts from or where they get their information from, I find very often like a lot of stuff gets conflated and a lot of stuff gets it gets like packaged in a way where it seems intelligent, but it's not. Like when you really delve into it, it starts to break apart. Okay, so like in this situation, this person the level of this person's intelligence, right, is at the level where he uses a line graph between different countries. Do you understand? Like we are
Yes.
gathering statistics and understanding from somebody who doesn't even know, like at the elementary level, what graph to use. Do you understand the problem with that? Okay.
Yeah, and I pulled up that page for the raw data, not for the
Okay,
graphs.
let's do the next one. So like I was looking at some of this raw data here, right? But the raw data doesn't like help us that much either, because like when we're looking at the raw data, it doesn't like make any conclusions. It just does measurements so that way people can like do actual science and conclude things based on like the numbers. So hold on.
Which is why in the beginning I said I've got some data here that I have not gone through, and you said, well, why don't you just throw it up anyways?
Oh, got it. Okay, so let's see. What's the next one? It's like indicators derived from mortality rates provide a good picture of the overall population health. Okay, these indicators include infant and child mortality, the probability of dying between birth of 1 to 5 years of age, respectively. Okay, almost 20% of all deaths. Wait a minute. Hold on. Where is there's nothing on this regarding a vaccine. Control F, vaccine. What do you know? This has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about. Awesome. So this is referring to like the mortality of like children who are ages, it says dying between 1 and 5 years of age, which kind of makes sense because like their immune system isn't all that great at that point. So I guess like that kind of makes sense that there's like certain amounts of like children who die. And so, okay, so this dude grabbed this World Health Organization that has absolutely nothing to do with vaccines. All right, forget it. Let's go to the next one. We'll go to the next one. Maybe he's better on the next one, right? Okay, hey, look at that. He actually used a graph properly. Cool. Look at that. He actually did a time, because it's a line graph. We'll do maybe this one will be good. Okay, under 5 influenza deaths before and after U.S. CDC mandates of flu vaccines in early childhood. Okay, so under age of 5 influenza mortality statistics from the Center of Disease Control, Vital Statistics Reports 1999 from 2003 reported in Miller of people who are dying as a result of flu vaccines. Okay, so let's look here. Okay. Okay, so we see here, it says the latter half of 2002, CDC mandates early childhood flu vaccines. Okay, so let's look that up. USA early childhood flu vaccine law. Let's look that up. We're going to look that up. Here we go. I mean, this is straight from the CDC, so I mean, I guess if they want to hide something, but generally speaking, when you're talking about like a government organization, their studies are usually pretty good because not only are they like, is it like thousands of scientists? It's like the sample sizes are so big that it's really hard to refute. Hold on, let me see here. Um, okay, so this one's from immunize.org. I'm not going to
Yeah,
use.
I would have to actually. That's a debate for another whole day. But I would have to definitely debate that
What?
the United States federal government definitely gives favorable reports to substances that other countries have deemed to be toxic.
Yeah, the government has done this a lot, right? They've done things where they have deliberately deceived people to like get a certain thing. But here's the thing: like
Because of lobbyists.
science
Yeah.
does not care about ideology. Okay, so like I'll give you.
I would agree, but science
Well,
reports
let
have
me
to
give you an
change.
example, okay? So like if
Okay.
the government releases something, right, that is like contrary to factual thought, okay? What will happen is that scientists will take a look at that study, test it for themselves, and then in the scientific group, they will basically find out that the opposite is the case, or that they will find problems in the initial study, in which case it's only a matter of time before somebody finds out about it, and then boom, the study goes away. So like there have been lots and lots and lots of studies that show that cigarettes don't cause cancer, right? And
Correct.
there was lots of lobbying, there was lots of everything, right, to determine that cigarettes were okay for you, that they did not cause cancer. Now obviously we know now that they do cause cancer because eventually the science caught up with it and realized that, this is, you can quantify this. What they are saying is 100% wrong. So much so that it got into like, I think it was like in the mid 90s where they fucking finally it was like millions of people that were tested, and they confirmed this without a shadow of a doubt.
There was over 7,000 studies that were done showing that cigarettes were harmful before the federal government admitted it.
Yes, correct, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Like the
And more
science effectively
Yeah.
catches up with it. So right,
Yeah.
if
But
the
it catches up 20 years later.
if
So
the
what you're reading right now will change 10 years from now.
okay, I'm saying like if the government, right, says
Right.
one thing, right,
Mhm.
science will generally have to, try to confirm that these things are real. Okay, so generally, if it's like a CDC.gov or if it's like a government where it's like it's not even peer review, it's something above peer review, where it gets to the point where it's like the sample size is so big that it's literally impossible to uh, to basically have any more facts or data on it. Okay, so
Right.
let's go back. I don't want to use immunize.org. I mean, I guess we could use the children and influenza here, because then we can at least like conflate the numbers there, I guess. Especially those younger at 2 are at high risk of developing serious flu-related complications. Okay, a flu vaccine offers the best defense against flu and its potentially serious consequences can also reduce the spread of flu to others. So, like, I guess the question is, how many people died to flu, or children died? Like how many children died to flu in the past? Graph. I want an actual like publication that it's like, okay, we can review it. It's like it's true. Okay, yeah, the CDC posting on children dying to flu. But let's see here about flu. Let's see here. Let's see here. Flu surveillance, flu season, past flu seasons. I'm trying to find like a graph that will give me the information I'm looking for. Hold on. Fatalities due to flu study. Let's see here. Published a journal. People 85 years old and older are much more likely to be hospitalized and die from flu. People, let's see, children. Nope, nothing on children. Let's see. I'm looking. Give me a moment. Okay, this one looks good. Hold on. I don't know if you're looking at the YouTube video or whatever, but I'm going
No,
through it.
I'm actually still pulling up the thermostat. I'm trying to
Okay.
actually.
Pulling up the. I'm Okay, so multi-center cohort patients with methicillin-resistant Staphylococcus aureus bacteriemia receiving daptomycin plus ceftaroline compared with other MRSA treatments. Wow, this is a very detailed study here. Let me see. Control F, mortality. Okay. All right. Conclusions. Treatment is often delayed. Combination therapy may be more beneficial, initiated earlier, particularly in patients of higher risk for mortality. Okay, so basically it's referring to that patients that are of higher risk for mortality, it may be more beneficial to them. So like a child, right? Do you believe that like a child has like a weakened immune system
Some can,
compared
some
to an adult?
yes, yes. The reason
Okay,
I
yeah,
say
yeah.
that,
So
yeah, the
like
reason I say
if
that is because the coronavirus going around right now. They say that typically flus hit young children and old people worst.
okay,
I remember seeing that on the news just recently.
yes. Okay, so we just confirmed that with like an actual like study that's like confirmed. So
Okay.
then the next thing is if that's the case, wouldn't it make sense to give babies vaccines?
As long as it didn't kill them.
Okay, I mean, obviously, like there are people
That's
where
what,
it's like
as
they're
I
gonna
said, yeah,
die from it.
as I said before, I'm pro-vaccine. I'm
Okay,
anti-vaccine laws that
okay,
force everybody to get them.
so like what if for example somebody believes within their own religion
Uh-huh.
or they believe within like their own their own autonomy to have rule over their child, right?
Correct.
Um, that they should not get a vaccine. Okay, and
Correct.
do you think that the risk is higher for the children to die due to flu, or do you think that the risk is higher for the child to die due to the vaccine?
I believe that that is 100% up to the biological makeup of the child, and it's up to the parents to decide, which is a very tough decision. The parents are almost choosing, do I give my child some sort of a neurological disorder, or do I save his life by doing this?
Do you honestly
That has
believe
to
that
be
it
a
creates a neurological
Oh,
disorder?
I'm 100%. That I have actually seen the scientific studies on. There's zero doubt that
Okay,
thermostat. Yeah,
okay, I wanted to get something actual studies, but I haven't
right.
have
And
yet to get you to provide
that we're
me
not going to
any.
get tonight. That we're not going to get tonight. Just
Why
letting you know.
not?
Because I'm trying to find them,
Okay,
but I need to get going. I can't spend another hour on this.
got it. Okay. Do you have to go now
So,
or?
I need to get going. As I mentioned to you off air before we started this, I
Mm-hmm.
have a cat that just had 6 kittens.
Okay, yeah,
And
got
I've
it.
been trying to watch over her because she's been trying to get up and walk away from the
Yeah.
kittens, and I have a large pit bull.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, so I'm a little
Okay.
nervous being back at this recording studio with them in the other room.
Okay. All right. Sure.
So I am trying to go
Yeah, I mean,
through
if
just
you if you want to cut it early, we can have you on for like a part two or whatever, and
yeah.
we'll
Let's
take off from there. Maybe we can
again
be a little prepared on both
that
our ends, because I feel like I wasn't prepared and you weren't prepared.
no, I definitely I did mention that when we started up too that I'm not good
Yeah.
just on a last minute. Hey, what are you doing tonight? Um, this would be a lot of fun. Now, what I am extremely prepared for, though, because I actually have a website and I'm writing a paper on it and hopefully going to get published,
Mm.
is EMF frequencies.
Mm-hmm.
So that I would love to talk about. That I have over 1,800 peer-reviewed studies downloaded. I have an entire folder full of those. In fact, I'm having a hell of a time writing those in HTML right now.
Okay. Well, I guess
So
we can
that one,
conclude it for now, and
yeah.
you have
Now,
a you have a good night then.
Yep, I will, just as we're closing, I will send you the one report that I did not have a chance to read fully that actually may answer the question on this, or maybe not. I didn't have a chance to read the whole thing. Just from what I saw in the beginning, it looks like it might.
Okay.
All right. Thanks again, and let's schedule something for next week, okay?
All right. Have a good night.
Thanks.
Holy crap, guys. I mean, am I crazy for real? Like, I ask for information and he doesn't give it to me. And it's like, and when I asked him like very specific questions, he disagreed, but then he didn't like give into like, you know, what is the justification of the disagreement. Like I'm like one of the most anti-government people ever, man. I am so anti-government, it's like crazy. But there are instances of, like, for example, market failure, and instances where like you can increase people's autonomy with a little bit of control, and it's like completely reasonable control that anybody could like agree with. So like in this situation, it's like I ask him like, what's wrong with that, and then he's like, well, I'm against it. And I'm like, well, wait, why are you against it? Because it should be up to the parent. Okay, but wait, if it makes things better for the child, then therefore it should, you know, or like it makes things better for like the collective of society and it makes things better for everybody, then why wouldn't you have it? And then he's like, well, study this, study that. And then I'm like, okay, well, give me the study. He doesn't give me a study. I'm like, okay, then we go nowhere. We go nowhere. What the heck, man? Ah, jeez. It is what it is. I don't know. Today was very quiet, so y'all have a good night.